Hello people, you welcome back to the channel. So it is no more news that we had some housemates evicted yesterday and they were all guys. There was Justin, there was BLAQBOI, and then there was THABANG. But of course, as expected, their interview is out and there was nothing much around, Justin's interview. First, Lawrence asked him what was his plan coming into the house? Was it a strategy to always be in the kitchen? He said no, that he's usually just an introvert. And, just like when he started cooking from home at age 11, it's been a thing to, just get engrossed in that. It's therapeutic for him. He uses it to even console people when he sees that people are feeling bad or in a certain mood. He would just go talk to them and ask them if they would like something to eat. And then, of course, he said everybody in his house cooks except his mom. I'm like, okay, that's expected when everybody cooks, including their dad. And then, of course, they also had to ask him, what did he think about the relationship of Khosi and Yemi being the most talked about, ship in the Big Brother Titans house. He said that he didn't like Yemi. He doesn't like Yemi. Basically, not that he necessarily said this, because anybody come here can drag me, I will blast you. Trust me. Anyways, what he necessarily said was that he never had a conversation with Yemi. He never really liked Yemi because of the way he was moving in the house from one person to the other. And, but when it comes to Khosi and THABANG, he was the first person to have noticed the Khosi and THABANG ship starting. And then when he noticed it initially, he went to Khosi. I was asking her what was up. And then Khosi lied and said, oh, THABANG is my brother. And she was like, yeah, right. We know a brother when we see that. But soon enough, they became very comfortable and started expressing public display of affection in the presence of other housemates. And then finally, what's the final thing he said? Okay, he said that he never was really interested in shipping in the house. And he pointed out the fact that he had 2 opportunities. And he was like, you know what? Nah, I don't really need this. So he just turned it down. And I'm like, okay, maybe that was Olivia and maybe Nana. But we saw that he and Nana was getting quite close. Although he was telling Khosi or somebody else that whenever Nana comes close to him, he just tries to run off. But that was it for his interview. The next semi-interview, I wouldn't call it a semi-interview, it was just part of a full interview, was BLAQBOI. Now, of course, Lawrence asked BLAQBOI, when he first got into the show, even before he got into the show, has he watched the Big Brother franchise games before? He said yes, he had watched that of South Africa a few, he had watched that of Africa a few, he had watched quite enough of that of Big Brother Naija, and so he had a glimpse or a certain notion on how the game actually goes. And then, of course, Lawrence had to move further with his questions by, asking him when Big Brother within the first 2 weeks paired them, what did he think about it? He said he really didn't like it. He didn't like Ipeleng because she was nowhere to be found during the first week or the first 2 weeks of the show. She was always with Luke in the garden, somewhere, anywhere with Luke. She really wasn't active like every other housemate he would have wished to be paired with, and that was a problem for him because he needed somebody that was going to be active. But after having conversations over time, he saw that she's kind of a cool person. Although they argued in the presence of the other housemates, which made him feel so bad. He said, when talking to her, he found out that Nigerians and South Africans have a lot in common. And that was good to know. That was something that made him even more comfortable. And, they began working together and became better partners. Now, I'm expecting that more of his interview is going to be out by today or tomorrow because this is quite short. They didn't even talk about Blue Ava or Nana or Khosi or any other thing. This is not the full interview. Last but not the least is the interview of THABANG. Lawrence started by asking him the questions of, in the initial part of the show, he was keeping to himself, no not much of a conversation with other people, especially when there is drama conversations about other people or heating up conversations. He just said that he is the kind of person that, keeps calm and only involves himself in something that has to do with him when he is needed. When something involves him, then he would put himself in the mix. Other than that, it's just life to him. He wouldn't interfere. But of course, he remembers one time he had to, come into the mix and the conversation because he felt he was part of the reason that happened. And that was the altercation between Nana and Khosi. And he just saying the fact that he had a conversation with Khosi about 30 minutes ago, and then 30 minutes later they started their quarrel and wanted to turn the Big Brother house upside down. He just felt he needed to settle it, saying that there is his partner and someone in court. They were considering themselves as brother and sister. And then of course, Lawrence was like, he didn't want to mention relationship and stuff, but since THABANG mentioned it. What was it with him and Olivia? He basically said that Olivia was coming on too strong and he didn't want to be tied down in the initial part of the show or for throughout the show when he wasn't ready because he felt it was too early. And then secondly was the fact that, each time Olivia had professed her likeness towards him, it was when she was under the influence and he wanted her to be sober, not that she would wake up the next morning and begin to regret whatever she had said. And then he just said he just wanted to get to know her, nothing deep and stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. After all, we always knew that we really didn't like Olivia. It was the other people you liked. She was just one putting her energy, and she actually escaped with the lies that she didn't like you that way, all because she found out after she had left the show that you didn't really like her that way too. To Lawrence's last question, THABANG responded that when it came to Nelissa, he just felt that, they were supposed to build something beautiful from the beginning of the show. She was on to him, and then she moved on to Mmeli, and then he heard that she actually was about or actually had to move with Marvin, and that broke the trust. And then, trust is something that cannot be easily regained. So he told her that he would not see her in the same light anymore. And then she was like, you know what? Even though you don't, I am still going to try and make it right. He, according to him, feels that it was just an overcompensation of what was done wrong. And, it was not going to be easily fixed. And he told her it was up to her to, in quote, this is my translation, waste your time trying to fix it because it's never going to fix. All we just did was just go back and forth until she was out of the show. And I just feel like from the way he's sounding, it's obvious she doesn't mean shit to him. And we all understand it. We all obviously know that the number one person on his list is Khosi, but we don't know how it's going to happen when she leaves the show. But until then, don't forget to subscribe and most importantly, vote for your favorite, because if you don't, they would not win the show, especially votes from other nations other than Nigeria and South Africa.